September 26, 1983. Just past midnight. A Soviet officer sits alone in a bunker 60 kilometers south of Moscow. On his screen, one word. In large red letters, launch. The computer is telling him the United States has just fired nuclear missiles at the Soviet Union. Protocol is clear. Report it immediately. The counterstrike begins. He has 10 minutes to decide. And here is the detail that should make your blood run cold. He was only in that chair because his colleague called in sick that night. If a different man had shown up to work, this video would not exist. You do not exist. This is the story of the year the world almost ended, and almost nobody knows it happened. To understand September 26, 1983, you first have to understand what kind of world it happened in, because 1983 was not just a tense Cold War year. Declassified U.S. intelligence reports describe it as the single most dangerous year since the Cuban Missile Crisis. Some analysts believe it was more dangerous. In March, Reagan called the Soviet Union an evil empire on national television.
To ignore the facts of history and the aggressive impulses of an evil empire, to simply call the arms race a giant misunderstanding.
2 weeks later, he announced a space missile defense system. The Soviets didn't read this as defensive. They read it as preparation for a first strike. The Soviets launched a secret intelligence program, Operation Ryan. Its entire purpose was detecting signs. America was preparing a surprise nuclear attack. KGB officers worldwide were assigned to monitor specific indicators. Blood banks being stocked. Slaughterhouses are increasing output. Government officials disappearing into bunkers. The Soviets were genuinely, measurably, documentably terrified. Then on September 1st, a Soviet jet shot down Korean Airlines Flight 007, a passenger aircraft that had accidentally strayed into Soviet airspace. 269 civilians dead, including a sitting U.S. congressman. The Soviet leadership was humiliated, paranoid, cornered. 25 days later, the alarm went off. His name was Stanislav Petrov, 44 years old, a software engineer who had actually helped write the code for the very warning system, was now screaming at him. He knew this system. He knew its flaws. Shortly after midnight, the siren blared. One incoming American ICBM detected, launched from Malmstrom Air Force Base in Montana. Then 4 more missiles appeared. The word on the panel was not a warning. It was a command. Launch meant prepare to retaliate immediately. Every other person in that bunker was a career military officer trained to follow protocol without question. Report it. Now. Petrov did not report it. He stood there for 10 minutes and reasoned through it. If America were launching a first strike, it would be massive. Hundreds of missiles simultaneously designed to destroy Soviet retaliatory capability before a counterstrike could be organized. 5 missiles made no sense. 5 missiles could not disable Soviet defenses. 5 missiles was not how you start a nuclear war. And the ground radar, the secondary confirmation system, was showing nothing. He called it a malfunction. And waited. He was right. The Cosmos 1382 satellite had confused sunlight reflecting off high-altitude clouds with the heat signatures of ICBM launches. The closest nuclear near-miss in Cold War history was caused by sunlight on clouds. You would expect this story to end with medals, a ceremony, recognition. Here is what actually happened to Stanislav Petrov. He was called before his superiors, praised briefly, then quietly reprimanded him for filling out his paperwork incorrectly during the incident. In the chaos of those 10 minutes, he had failed to log everything in the military diary, the way regulations required. He received no reward, reassigned to a less sensitive post, took early retirement, suffered a nervous breakdown, lived in a small apartment outside Moscow on a modest pension. His wife did not find out what he had done for 10 years. When she finally asked, his answer was simply, "It was my job." The world did not learn his name until 1998, 15 years after the event. Stanislav Petrov died in May 2017 in his apartment. His death went unnoticed for months. A family friend had to tell journalists he was gone. He received a posthumous $50,000 Peace Award at a ceremony in New York. His son missed the flight to collect it because the U.S. Embassy delayed his visa. The man who saved civilization could not get his son a visa to accept a peace prize on his behalf. Think about this. The man who may have saved the world wasn't chosen because he was extraordinary. He was there by accident, and when everything depended on the system working perfectly, it didn't. One person chose to question it. That's the only reason we're still here. Because that same system, the same rules, the same pressure, the same 10-minute window, still exists today. Right now, somewhere in the world, someone is sitting in that chair, waiting for an alert they've been trained not to question. Last time, a human being hesitated. Next time, they might not. And that decision could end everything. So ask yourself one thing. Who is sitting in that chair tonight? Subscribe to Echelon for the stories that quietly shape the world you live in.